You guys, we have got to talk about the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni lawsuit because, like I said in my video on Sunday, I kind of removed myself from talking about this just because I felt like everybody was exhausted of the constant lawsuit updates. But ever since being named in the Blake Lively Google subpoena, I was like, maybe I should really freshen up my knowledge on what the heck is going on, how my name even got mentioned in this whole mess, and what is being said in these legal documents, okay? So for anyone that's not caught up to date on what is going on right now with Blake Lively and the whole situation, Blake Lively's legal team issued a subpoena to Google, TikTok, and X requesting personal and financial records of 16 YouTubers, 7 TikTokers, and 20 users on X, asking for their names, email addresses, physical and IP addresses, and payment data in pursuit of evidence supporting her claim that a smear campaign against her was orchestrated by Justin Baldoni's team. The list of accounts was made public in court documents filed on July 21st. So me talking about all of this on Sunday seemed to be the move, since on Monday it was public knowledge in the court document system. This is what you can see that was filed on July 21st. It includes the Blake Lively subpoena to Google. And then this is where you can see that my is there in the Google subpoena. It says request for production number 4. So I was the 4th person listed. It says all subscriber information for the username spillsesh associated with YouTube and Google Pay, including but not limited to the first and last name, registered email address, phone number, physical address, backup recovery email address or phone number, subscriber registration information, length of service including start date and any premium services utilized, means and source of payment for such services, if applicable, including any credit card or bank account number or public blockchain data and addresses, login internet protocol, IP address used for initial registration, and IP address used from May 1st, 2024 to the present, with dates and session times, and video upload IP addresses. It said this for all of the other YouTubers listed as well, that this was the information that they wanted. Now, when I received notice from Google about the subpoena, they said that you had until July 31st to file a motion to quash, basically saying, no, I don't want you to give that information out. I told my lawyer I have nothing to hide, that I did not receive any money to talk about Blake Lively in a negative way. We're obviously just concerned with what they're gonna do if and when they get this information, because I didn't even think it was going to be public that our usernames were even going to be coming out, but here we are. And like, what if someone is anonymous? Like, I used to be an anonymous YouTube channel, so if all my information is just put out there, like, that's kind of crazy and definitely not a good look for Blake Lively if she was gonna like dox people through her legal documents. Not saying that's what's going to happen, but of course we're wondering, you know, if and when you get all this information, is there a protective order put in place? Which is what my team is working on. They're working with her lawyers to kind of just get to the bottom of what do you guys actually want and how can we work together to make this the least invasive and easiest, and my hope, least expensive process, because I heard the motion to quash is expensive. So I'm like, what can we do here that isn't going to be insane and gets this all over with? There's been a lot of speculation of how this all even came to be, where these certain creator names even came from, because we're talking about people with 40 subscribers and TikTokers who aren't even commentators and just post like a few times a year, and they're posting like their kid or their dog or anything like that, and then they just so happen to post about the It Ends With Us movie and they're listed on here. Just coming in to add a little note as I'm editing, but I'm not gonna at this person and like say their username because they seem like a regular person, not like a content creator, commentary, channel, nothing like that. But one of the TikTokers that was named posted a video talking about how they loved the It Ends With Us movie and that it meant so much to them, the messaging and everything. And then they have another TikTok that went viral that is like comparing what Justin was saying in interviews to what Blake was saying in interviews, and that just like missed the mark. And I believe like that's the video that got the subpoena. But I'm just like, it looks to me like it's just a normal girl that's expressing her opinions about really loving the movie and the messaging, and was just kind of disappointed by how Blake was promoting the movie. Like, it is the most random accounts. Of course, there's accounts on here that have talked negatively about Blake Lively, and they've posted several videos and they've talked about the case, but then there's also like this section of people that like don't do that. So it's all very interesting, the people that are listed here. But from what I gather in all of the legal documents on public record, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' legal team told the court that the Wayfarer party's answers to the questions that they had were vague, limited, or incomplete. They were demanding full answers about which email accounts were shared with third parties, the names of all reporters Wayfarer communicated with about Blake, and the identities of any content creators involved. Blake's team asked TAG to identify any email accounts since May 1st, 2024, that any third party like content creators or media had access to in order to communicate about Blake, Ryan, the CRD complaint, or the lawsuit. After a long list of objections claiming the request was vague, overbroad, and not relevant, they said none. In other words, they deny that any third party had access to any such email accounts. In the legal filings, they specifically asked, identify any email account from May 1st, 2024 to date in which any third party, including but not limited to content creators or the media, had access for the purpose of communicating information of any kind, including messaging, talking points, guidelines, scripts, or other information regarding Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, the digital campaign, the CRD complaint, or the actions. Responding party incorporates by reference its general objections as if fully set forth in response to the interrogatory. Responding party objects to this interrogatory to the extent it is not proportional to the needs of the case or relevant to the claim or defense of any party. Responding party further objects to this interrogatory on the grounds that it is overbroad. Responding party further objects to this interrogatory on the ground that it is vague as to email account, access, third party, communicate, and information. Responding party further objects to this interrogatory to the extent that it exceeds the scope of Local Civil Rule 33.3. Blake's team also asked TAG to name all media outlets or reporters they communicated with about Blake or the case since June 15th, 2024, and after repeating the same objections, they provided a list of journalists and outlets they communicated with. It was asked, identify all reporters and news or media outlets of any kind with whom you've communicated directly or indirectly in any manner concerning Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, the CRD complaint, the actions, or the Lively Reynolds companies from June 15, 2024 to present. And in response, the responding party incorporates, by reference, its general objections as if fully set forth in response to this interrogatory. Responding party objects to this interrogatory to the extent it is not proportional to the needs of the case or relevant to the claim or defense of any party. Responding party further objects to this interrogatory on the grounds that it is overbroad. Responding party further objects to this interrogatory on the grounds that it is vague as to reporters, news or media outlets, and communicated. Responding party further objects to this interrogatory to the extent that it exceeds the scope of Local Civil Rule 33.3. Subject to and without waiving the foregoing objections, responding party responds, and they list Daily Mail, TMZ, CNN, Good Morning America, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, E! News, People, New York Post, Business Insider, Deadline, Puck, I believe that's the LA Times, Us Weekly, Dumois, Billy Bush, Candace Owens, Perez Hilton, and they are all named. So they gave up their contacts with these media outlets, but it is not listed on the legal documents, them fully listing out the content creators or influencers they had contact with, which Blake and her team were trying to uncover. At least it's not a public document. It all just still leaves me with, like, how did they get our names or these specific accounts on Twitter and TikTok and YouTube? Like, I'm just not understanding. Maybe we'll find out at some point in time. The thing that does come to mind, though, is that obviously Justin and his team aren't going to be messaging people on their normal accounts. Like, Justin Baldoni is not reaching out to people on his verified account to be like, hey, can you make a video on Blake Lively? But of course, a lot of people that report on pop culture news or just news in general, they're going to have their DMs open. I'm wondering if his team somewhere along the lines had like burner fake accounts that they were messaging people on information about Blake. But even still, like, I never received $1. Like, I'm not accepting money from someone in my DMs or somebody that emails me to talk about something. Like, that's just absolutely not going to happen. And especially with the Blake and Justin situation, anytime I heard something that was going on with them, whether it was the news or TikTok or Twitter, I was always looking it up myself because I didn't want to be wrong. Like, this was such such a crazy case with so much information constantly coming out every single day from both sides, legal documents, and, you know, reporters were getting information from sources. So that's kind of leaving us in this big question mark of how the heck did she get these names? But this is how her team has been moving behind the scenes, you know, pressing Justin for these people that they were in contact with. And I don't know if his team was like emailing each other to be like, oh, look at this TikTok that this person just posted. And it was an organic post, but because they're naming all of these influencers or accounts or TikToks or YouTube videos in their text chain, Blake and her team are just looking up everyone. I'm not sure if that's the case here. It's all just speculation right now because we just don't know. But maybe the document telling us all the answers will become public soon, because like I said, did not expect that document to be made public yesterday about everyone's username that was in the subpoena. But that is a situation that is going on right now, still being navigated, but we'll just see what happens, what more information comes out. I think Justin is battling a new lawsuit right now from his insurance company, something like that. I'm going to dive into what's going on there and keep you guys updated on all things Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, like we have been for a while now. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.